What's up, y'all? It's Michael Jones from Mike Solo Studios. I'm going to show you how to plan, shoot, and edit your movie. Don't be like this guy. Actually, I was that guy right there. When you don't do your 3 Ps, that is what will happen to you. Now, what I'm about to take you through is a process. Pre-production, production, post-production. Whether you believe it or not, you're doing these things. But the whole point, what I'm trying to teach you, is to be intentional about these things. That way, you can control your outcome more than, a person that's just going through this without realizing, hey, what am I doing? So my background, I have a bachelor's in film and media arts, an associate's applied science as a multimedia specialist. Over a decade and doing film and editing. I'm a singer-songwriter, made 2 albums. I composed, mix, and master my songs. I was featured on Rachel Ray's show and produced and edited a nationally aired television show called Soul Mag TV. Just so you can believe me a little bit, here's a little demo reel of my stuff. Check it out. Play. I do it all night and I do it all day. I can't even fake. It's in my blood like my DNA. This music that I play is a lifestyle that takes a lot of faith. So I hit my knees and pray. Can't do it by myself, I need God's grace. Some days I'm feeling weak, but there's fire in my feet. That's God with me. That's my signature play. And it's only by God's grace that I can see your face. So I give God the praise. That's my signature. So, pre-production, production, post-production, that's what we're going to be talking about today. Everything that you just saw, I had to go through the process of those 3 steps: pre-production, production, post-production. Say it with me: pre-production, production, post-production. So let's go into our first step, the pre-production. This is the blueprint. This is everything. There's a famous quote that says, failing to plan is planning to fail. So whether you believe it or not, someone asked me a question and that was like, well, can we do something easier? Or, you're doing a lot of stuff here. Is there an easier way to do it? And my answer was, look, no matter if you think you're doing this or not, or whether you think you're skipping some steps or not, you're doing these steps, but you're doing them poorly. And what I'm trying to show you is how to do them well so that your outcome will be so much better than, just going in there and unintentionally falling into this thing. Pre-production outline. So this is what I'm about to teach you in pre-production, which is very important. First, script writing. Second, storyboarding. Third, shot listing. Fourth, overheads. 5, budgeting, scheduling, talent releases. Okay, remember those. So let's jump into the 3 types of scripts you're going to be using. Movie screenplay. That's the first one. We use that for movies, screenplays. We use a treatment for a documentary. And for our music videos, we use this audio-visual script, okay? So I'm going to give you an example of the first one. So this is the first one. I did this for a lady who does memorabilia, and we was making a video for Kadeem Carey, but it was for her commercial. So first rule here, we have our heading. It says exterior football field night. That EXT stands for exterior, okay? And then below that, we're going to have our action. So beads of sweat run down Kadeem's face. So basically here, we're talking about the action. We never write We never write the actor's thoughts. We just want to see. We want to write what we see. We see sweat running down his face. Okay, he has a determined facial expression. We give a facial expression of like determined. You know, when we're writing a character in for the first time, we write it in all caps. So Kadeem, you can see that's in all caps when we're introducing a new character. Now let's go to the treatment outline. Like I said, the treatment is normally used for documentaries. Basically, what we're going to do here is get our log line. And of course, in any other thing that you have, whether it's a movie, whatever, you're going to have a log line, a one-sentence description that really captures the essence of the movie, because everything you write is going to fall underneath this log line. And then we have in here our synopsis, main characters, style, format, what are you going to shoot it in, production schedule, and timeline. And then finally, we have the music video script. We're going to have the audio on one side and the visual on the other. So you can see. And the cool thing about music videos is that you don't even have to write any scripts or lyrics. You can be very visual and come up with what you want to do on the visual side of it. So here you have the audio on the left side, and then you have on the right side the visual. And nonetheless, this could be a lot more detailed than it is right here. Like right here, it could be a lot more detailed than what it looks like right now. All right, so let's go to storyboarding. Now, write down this, boards.com, BOORDS.com. This is what I did this storyboard with. It's so nice because I had it on my phone as well when I went to go shoot. And I didn't even have to have a shot list with me because I was like, okay, I just gonna look at the next shot I need to get on my phone. And if I'm getting it right on my phone with this storyboard, then it's gonna look right. So, but I want to just show you how this thing looks terrible, and that yeah, you're gonna have some terrible looking stuff as well. But you do need to draw something before you start, even if it's like a stick man. Draw something.
This is my moment. Right here. Right now. No way you can stop me. Get out of my way. You face fear. You face doubt. And you face yourself. What's your signature play? Capture it. With keepsakes of triumph.
Okay, so you see how bad that was. It was pretty bad, okay? So that's what we started out with. We had the audio, we had the music behind there, and we had the pictures, and we put the pictures in there so we could actually see how things would be, you know. We was going to see how things would pan out, how they would be when we're looking at, you know, that movie, how it's going to move. So, and now we hit the final production.
This is my moment. Right here. Right now. No way you can stop me. Get out of my way. You face fear. You face doubt. And you face yourself. What's your signature play? Capture it with keepsakes of triumph.
Okay, so you can see that some of the things did change from the storyboard, but it gave me a good idea of where I needed to go. Now here's a simple shot list. This is what I really used when I started off and doing stuff for Soul Mag TV, and I just need to remember because I don't know about you, but it's so easy to forget stuff. Like if you don't write it down, it's so easy to forget. So right here we have the exterior one. This is our first scene. So we're gonna name each scene with the number. So number 1, exterior house day. 1.1 wide shot of the house. 1.2 close up of flag in the house. You know, we jump to inside the house. 2 interior house day. We have 2.1 wide shot of dancer, 2.2 mid shot of dancer, 2.3 close up of family picture. All right. And then 3, we have the exterior park day, 3.1 wide shot of park sign, 3.2 mid shot of kids playing basketball. You know, I made all this stuff up, but that's how it works. That's the flow of the shot list. And then finally, we have the overhead. So if you're like shooting a concert or something, you want to give the people an overhead or something so they can know where they're going to be standing at. Camera 1, camera 2, camera 3. You say, hey, I want you to focus mainly on a wide shot, and hey, I want you to focus on a close up of the person, and hey, I want you to focus on a mid shot. That way, they know what they're going to be doing with your footage is going to be good, because you know you have your 3 shots there from 3 different angles, and getting what you need to make the movie look pretty good. All right. Budget. I'm not going to go too far into that, but just know you need a budget. You need to have your catering. You need to have your set dressing, property, all that stuff. Cast and crew. You have to pay for story and the rights. That's the above the line. Actually, I don't know if they. Yeah, you have an above the line cost, and you have like the story and the script and the rights to that. The producer, director, and cast. Travel and living. We'll go into that sometime later, but not in this time because that'll just take forever. Scheduling is a big thing as well. Scheduling for movies is a nice little science. There are so many tutorials on that. Can't get into all that right now, but just know you need to do it. And then finally, talent releases. Make sure you have your talent releases with you. And so if somebody tries to come back and say, hey, I don't want my face in that movie, be like, no, you signed it right here. Don't even talk to me. It's already signed. I can use this the way you said I can use it. So, yeah, just got to remember that. Pre-production review. So you got script writing, storyboarding, shot listing, budgeting, scheduling, and talent releases. Remember those 7 things: script writing, storyboarding, shot listing, budgeting, scheduling, talent releases. Now let's go into production. Lights, camera, action, y'all. So production, we got lighting, audio, camera, directing. Those 4 things: lighting, audio, camera, directing. It's 4 basic things, okay? So let's go into our lights. So basically, without light, you know, photography, photo actually means light. So photography, light. Without light, you can't have a good photo. So 3-point lighting system. You have a key light, that's the strongest, a fill light, which is a little weaker, and then you have a backlight, which is like the rim. It's going to be the weakest. It's going to be low intensity. So as you can see here, here's a illustration of the left key light, the right mid intensity, and then you have the backlight. Here's a little example of what that would look like. So you have just a key light on the first one, and you get really harsh shadows. On the second one, they turned on the backlight, or the rim. They call it the rim because it makes an outer glow of his hair and stuff. So they put on the rim. And on the last one is the key rim in the fill. So you see it really gives him a nice look all the way around. So he has like perfect lighting right now. Audio, let's talk about that. So you have the shotgun mic, lavalier microphones, audio recorders, H2 Handy, which is budget friendly, and I love how it's so budget friendly. So first talk about the shotgun mic. It's just directional, so like it shoots in the direction of the person. So you don't have to worry about noise in the background getting in. It's going to be it's going to shoot in that pattern where your talent is. So it's good for those movies, you know, when you're running around and you got a lot of noise in the background, you want to use a shotgun mic. Lavalier is another good option if you're doing like documentaries. You can put that on. Someone can wear that, and there's even ways to put this under your clothes where no one even sees it. Like you can put tape on, and nobody's gonna see. Like they're not gonna see it. So lavalier mic is another cool thing. Audio recorder. This is what I've used for so long. It's such a great recorder, so great at recording interviews. It kills out background noise too. Like I don't know, there's something really great about it. It records at very high sample rates as well, 96 kilohertz. If you don't know about sample rates, it's kind of like your pixels. So when we're talking about the audio recorder, it will get a very, very high quality sound just from this little thing. Go check it out. Actually, I think this one. Actually, I think they stopped making them, but they have an upgraded version. I just wanted to show you the one that I use because it still works. And I'm like, if it still works, and I had this thing for almost like 10 years, you know it's got to be good. A dead cat wind muff. Basically, this is something that you put on so you won't hear the in your microphone when you are outside. You know, it'll kill all that noise. Now let's get into our cameras. DSLR, lens, focus, tripod, frame rates, white balance, wide shot, mid shot, close up. Yeah, hang with me, y'all. I know it's a lot, okay? Just hang with me, though. So let's go into the camera. DSLR, you know, only thing about this DSLR, it doesn't shoot on film. It shoots with a memory card. That's what it stands for, digital single lens reflex. You can read all that stuff if you want to. If you want to pause it right now and read it, great, go ahead. But that's really what the bulk of this means, okay? So I like this lens. If you're a beginner, I would say get a lens like this because it's going to make everything like just so much more cinematic and so much more, surreal. This is a very good lens, a pancake lens. That's my recommendation. Get one of these, okay? Focus. If you don't know how to focus, then your game is over with, okay? So the focus is the most important thing in trying to capture film. You know, you need to have a good focus unless the script calls for it to be blurry. But when the main actor comes in, you need to be focused on that person, and it needs to be sharp. There are some tutorials I would love to show you, but I can't because time doesn't permit me right now to do that. But just a quick tip: when you are focusing on a person, you want to zoom in focus on them. You need to take it off of autofocus and then zoom out. That's going to give you the optimum picture. And then we have tripods, we have stabilizers. These are things, the tripod, you can pan and tilt so you have a stable shot. And then with the stabilizer, it helps like running. So if you're going to run, if you have a scene where you're running upstairs like Rocky, you have the stabilizer and it's going to help you stabilize that shot so it's not jerking all over the place. Frame rates. Let's talk about this. 24 frames per second. This is standard for your cinematic look. 30 frames per second looks like soap operas. I don't recommend it. 24 frames, that's standard. 60 frames is when you're doing slow motion stuff, slow motion videos. You want to shoot in 60 frames. So that's good for that. White balance. Now, if you don't have good white balance, it's going to look like that on the left where, yeah, it just looks like cheesy, just yellow. Figure out your white balance before you start shooting. Take it off of auto white balance because that will kill you. If you're trying to shoot a professional, nice movie, you can't do that. I think for news gathering stuff, yeah, you can put your auto white balance and stuff on, but you know, you really want to be on manual and get the right type of white balance. Now let's talk about camera shots. So you got a extreme wide shot, you got a wide shot, medium close up, extreme close up shot. These are shots that you'll be doing, especially for music videos and of course for your movie. You have to get these shots. You have to get your wide shot first. You know, your establishing shot. Sometimes we call them, because the thing is, if you can always shoot the whole scene, you always shoot your whole scene in wide shot, and then you go back and get these smaller shots right here, these close-ups. When it comes to a music video, you just shoot this. You just shoot these things like it is, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, you have to do the song about 3 or 4, 5 times in order to cut that up in post, and so it'll be entertaining, you know. Directing, I'm not going too deep into this, but you know, some keywords to tell your crew, depending on how many people are on your crew. If you have your audio person, you have your camera person, and you're the director, producer. So say if it's 3 of you, one person holding the sound, one person is doing the camera, or you're doing the camera. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. I would say the other person is doing the camera. So what we want to do is we want to say quiet on set for the assistant director says quiet on set, roll sound, audio person rolling sound. That means the sound is now rolling, and that tells the director that we're good on sound. Assistant director, roll camera. That tells the director that yes, the camera is now on and is rolling. And then director says action. The actors do their thing. Director says cut, and then that's the end of that scene. And we know we got the right shot, or we'll have to do it over again to make sure everything's right. So that's the review of what we just say. That's the review of production. We got the lighting, the audio, the camera, and the directing. Next thing, we have post-production. So after we're done with our production, we got all our footage done. All that stuff is finished and done. Now we can go and organize, edit, and render this thing out. So first, we're going to talk about file management. How do you properly log your footage into your computer? Then editing software, color correction, color grading, special effects, chroma key. I'm gonna simply glance over some of the stuff because you don't need to go and jump into all this stuff. But the thing you need to really know is just what's inside of it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 things in this. So let's go into how to properly organize your footage. Check it out. This process. Step 1, create client folder. For example, my client is Become. Tip, you should do this way before shooting anything for your project. Step 2, create event folder. Inside your client folder, create the event folder and name it after the main event. For example, the event I covered was Civil Righteousness Conference in Kalamazoo, but I'm just going to name it Civil Righteousness. Step 3, create date folder. Inside the event folder, create a date folder with the format month, date, and year for which the date of the event took place. Step 4, create sub-event folder. Create a sub-event folder in your date folder if the event is all day and there are multiple events. Inside your sub-event folder, create a device folder. For example, did you shoot with a Canon T4i or a T5i? Or did you have an H2 handy recording audio for you? Add the name of the person who took the footage of the media in parentheses. For example, T4i, Michael, T5i, Lawrence. This helps with multiple angle shots. Step 6. Inside your date folder, select your sub-event folder and hold the Alt key while dragging the folder. This will create a copy. If you have multiple events throughout the day, this will be helpful for managing your footage. Step 7. Create card folder. Sometimes events are super long and you have to use more than one card. In this case, create a card folder inside the device folder and name it card_1 for the first card and card_2 for the second card. Step 8. Load footage. Load all recorded media into laptop computer and drag media to the appropriate folders. For example, drag T4i footage into the T4i folder, the iPhone footage goes into the iPhone folder, H2 handy goes into the H2 folder. And my recommendation is always do this at the end of an event. This will allow you to clear the card and be ready for the next event. So let's recap. Step 1 is to create client folder. Step 2 is to create the event folder. Step 3, the date folder. Step 4, the sub-event folder. Step 5, the device folders. Step 6, you duplicate, this is optional, the sub-event folder. Step 7, create card folder. And step 8, load footage. All right, so after all that's done, you go to your editing software. I use Final Cut. I've used Premiere Pro. Both of them are great programs. It's just your preference on what you want to use. Color correction, if you do not get that auto white balance off, this is what you're going to do. You have to color correct that video as you see on the right side. Left side is the original, right side is the color corrected. Color grading. Now, color grading is another thing because it sets the mood and tone of the movie. So if it's a very sad movie, you'll go to a lot of blues. Or if it's very happy, you can go to a saturated look. And then finally, green screen. There's a whole bunch of tutorials on this. I'm not going into that. And then CGI, I'm not going into that because I have not done a lot of CGI myself. But this is something that you would be using in filmmaking as well. So we have file management. That's like logging in the footage. For post-production, remember, post-production, we have file management. We have editing software. We have color correction, color grading, special effects, and chroma key. So my conclusion is don't be like this guy. Remember pre-production, production, and post-production.